Right. Well, it's 11:30. We're gonna do a slow roll because we're not sure. I'm not sure exactly the pacing if people are coming late or off of the other thing ran long or something like that. So we'll kind of do a slow roll into this. Hoping a few more people jump on. But we will go ahead and get started. So in the chat, I put the link to the presentation. I highly recommend you jump in there. I see a couple anonymous. See what I say. I see anonymous beaver and anonymous rhino. So I'm guessing the two of you jumped in here, and we will use quite a bit of that. Ultimately, I'm going to end up giving you a link to a whole folder that we're going to kind of work out of today. But we will, like I said, we'll get started here. If people jump in, I'll try to repost that link in the chat and make sure people jump in. So here we go. So start off just a little bit of kind of who we are. So my name is Andrew Wheatley. I'm a director of secondary curriculum at Lakota Schools. And so I kind of oversee all things teaching and learning for Lakota School District. We're just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, a school district, about 18,000-ish students. Looks like we have some more people. Oh, I have to admit some people here. So that would probably be helpful. All right. Got some more people joining here. I'm going to have to keep an eye on the participants. There we go. It looks like we got your co-host too, Lindsay.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I
So,
just shared another link to the presentation.
all right, great. So, because I'm saying to oversee kind of all things curriculum instruction for the school district in the grades 7 through 12, all of our subject areas. However, AI has been kind of a passion of mine for the past couple of years, is trying to just figure out and learn as much as I possibly can just to help our school district be well positioned as kind of we move into what I describe as kind of an AI embedded future. Um, I've been lucky enough to serve on the Innovate Ohio's AI for Schools task force, and actually just recently presented with the Lieutenant Governor of Ohio a toolkit for schools for AI. It's a picture of me there, the tall one on the right. And the Lieutenant Governor is not short, so if you ever see me in person, you'll know who I am. All right, we got a couple more people here. Got these folks joining in. All right, this is good because the more the merrier in this presentation. You'll see why here in a second. So for the folks who just jumped in, we'll have the link to the presentation posted in the chat. Make sure you join that presentation. It'll be really helpful. And I'll turn it over to Lindsay real quick to introduce herself.
Hey there. My name is Lindsay Ellis. I'm an innovation specialist with Andrew at Lakota Local Schools. So my job, I'm kind of a hybrid tech and curriculum coach. I work really closely with our teachers to provide innovative, modern instruction. And then I also work at some of the district level projects. I'm heavily involved in a model course team that we're actually creating our own AI course as well, that we're going to start developing and designing the contents for that as well. So be excited to see what we come up with today.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Lindsay. So if you don't mind in chat, it's just really helpful if you just say a little about who you are um, and your familiarity with using AI to create either curriculum or lessons. So when I say familiarity, you could do a 1 to 5, like 1 being I'm not very familiar with using AI specifically for lesson plan development or curriculum development, or a 5's like I've done it before. But just share a little bit about who you are in the chat will be really helpful. So talk about a little about this presentation here. So this is your chance to leave. That's what I'm about to say. This is your chance to get out of here. If not, you're expected to do some work. So this is a working session. I do think this session will fly by because of the fact that we are planning on working. However, the benefit of this presentation is that you will leave with a Google folder that will have a ton, actually it should have quite close to a kind of fully developed AI course that you can take back and use as you wish. Theoretically, you could leave now and still get access to that folder without doing any work, but that seems unethical. So I hope everybody stays and does some work with us. So we're going to talk a little bit about kind of a high school AI course, what we're doing with it, share with you a little bit about kind of the state of curriculum and artificial intelligence. Then we're going to get in and actually do some course building. So everybody on here is going to do some course building. We could probably use a few more people, but we will do our best with what we have, and then we'll kind of bring it all together at the end. So we are actually going to be collaboratively building an AI course with the people in this room. So it looks like we got at least one person. Katie joined in here. Awesome. Got some people. Good familiarity. You don't need to have a ton for this. Computer science, future robotics. Awesome. So we got some familiarity in here. So we actually should be able to crank out some work. All right. This is cool. So hopefully, like I said, everybody's ready to work. All right, we'll move on. So I want to talk a little bit about the landscape of AI curriculum. And please, if in chat you know of something that's not listed here that's really good, feel free to link it in chat. And that way we can kind of share it out for everybody. But I think most people know the landscape for curriculum for high school AI courses is slim. There is not a lot out there. It does seem like there are. We got somebody in the waiting room. There we go. Another one.
I'm adding them too, Andrew.
Cool, thanks. We probably both added them. There is not a lot out there, like I said. But it does seem like there's a lot of organizations who are trying to develop some things. And so we're in this weird kind of spot with AI, or at least my opinion, is like unlike a lot of technologies. I always like use email or the internet, for example, or even like personal computing. Email came out really in the late 80s, and Outlook came out in 93. But most schools didn't give kids emails until like the last 10 years, right? And so schools have often been way behind on technology. And AI is one of the few, I think, technologies that we've seen over the past 30 years where schools are kind of embracing it or getting really hit by it at the same time as everybody else. And that's kind of unique. So there's not a lot out there, like I said, for curriculum. These are a few different things. So curriculum in AI courses tends to fall in two different places, or at least of what I've seen, two different places. They tend to either be computer science based. So it's talking about AI from a computer science perspective or a technology perspective. And then there's also like non-computer science based curriculum. We're not going to dive into these. It's not necessarily the point of this presentation. But I just wanted to at least provide some links to things. However, when we get into the work that we're about to do here in a minute, these might be some resources that you would want to look at in order to either gain some kind of either knowledge or link to some resources in there. But once again, I will say if anybody has any knowledge of any AI curriculum that you're really familiar with or you like, and you'd like to share that in the chat, that would be great, because I think that would be a big help for everyone. So next year at our school district, like I said, for those of you who kind of came in, we school district about 18,000 students. We have two main high schools, and then we have a third high school. It's kind of our flexible options, our alternative school. But we are going to have an AI course next year. And the way that we're designing this is we're actually designing it as a social studies course. And a lot of people are like, they caught off guard a little bit by that. The reason we're designing it as a social studies course is because it's something that I believe that we can rapidly create and do it right and start something in AI. I don't want to wait too many years to make sure we have the perfect technology curriculum or the perfect computer science or get people who are trained up in the technical side of AI. I want to start somewhere, and I want to start somewhere fast. So we know we can launch a social studies AI course. And so if you're like, okay, well, why social studies? It's because really, I think the first steps in talking about AI really are social studies topics. So those would be things like ethics, legal, right? How it impacts law, economic impact, workforce impact, and then even how it impacts students' lives, their productivity, potentially even things like college and things like that. And that sure sounds like a social studies course, right? Those are social studies topics. So if you want, you can go ahead and click on this first link, because this is something we're going to use here as we move forward. This is a course outline. This is the course outline that we're going to use next year for our high school AI course. It's going to be a semester course. There's the course description that's in our program of study. And there are the units with a very basic outline of each unit. And we have course objectives at the bottom. So I want to start out by saying this was created by AI, right? It took a little bit of work to get it to where I wanted, right? A few different prompts and things like that. But this was a AI created. I like it. I generally think this is a good start. Ran it through all the kind of necessary channels at our school district, and I think everybody's pretty happy with it. So this is going to be our starting point. And as I said, the reason is because this is easy to start here. It's really easy for me to find a social studies teacher to teach this course. It's going to be really hard for me to find an AI expert to teach an AI tech course, right? It's easy to scale. I can get a lot of kids in it. I can meet the diverse needs of different groups of students. And then how we're going to use, as we're about to do, large language model. There's a few we can choose from to create a course. So if you haven't done this kind of course development, you're about to, and if you have, that's awesome, because that's what we're going to do. All right. So we are about to get started. We have right about an hour, so we are going to probably dedicate a good 30 minutes. I thought we were going to be able to do breakout rooms, but the answer looks like no. But with the amount of people that we have, this actually might end up working out pretty well. So I'm going to
Andrew,
start
we
by
do
saying,
have the option. They just added that for us if we decide we want to.
okay, well, we're gonna have to make a last second decision with the amount of people we have in here. So we'll see how this goes. I will state that this is somewhat of an experiment. This could either go really, really well, or this could crash and burn. So everybody kind of bear with me here. So this is the process that we are about to take. Our end product is that we are going to try to, in the next 30 minutes, create a whole entire AI course that is 6 units, a final assessment that includes these 4 things: learning objectives, this current events activity, lessons, and performance-based assessments for the end of each unit. That's what we're going to try to create with everybody who's in this room. This is why I said you might want to get out, but you're stuck now. No leaving now. So we're going to do a breakout, or we might not do a breakout based on the number, where each group will complete one task using AI to create. So a couple of things that you need to know about this process is we're about to do some rapid collaboration, and I mean rapid collaboration. And the most important thing is don't let perfection be the enemy of good. So like I said, the goal is to have a full AI curriculum developed in the next 30 minutes that includes lessons for each unit, assessments for each unit, and we're going to do it really quickly. It's okay if it's not perfect. What we think we can leave here with something that everybody can take away, that is good enough to get started, and you should only have to make some minor tweaks to that. If you click right here, it says folder access. This is going to be really important. So this is the folder that you're going to have, and it's going to be a takeaway. Right now in the folder, we have our presentation. Everybody can see the folder I clicked on, right? It's switched because sometimes I can't tell. All right. So access to the presentation. Here's the course outline over here. And then our goal is all these blank documents we're going to try to get filled in. But based on the number of people have, maybe we won't get them all done. The next important document is going to be this. You do not have edit rights to this, but you should have viewing rights to this document right here. And this is going to kind of be our home base for each of the things. So you should have edit access to all the other, well, at least these documents here. All right, questions? Lindsay, am I missing anything? We got a couple more things, then we'll get started. So if you haven't done curriculum writing, I want to do kind of talk a little bit about the concept of prompt engineering for curriculum writing. So you're going to want to have open right now, either ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever, large language model, generative AI platform you want to use. If you haven't used one of these to create curriculum, what you're going to find is it creates some very generic stuff on first ask. And it really takes you some prompting, right, to get it to give you something that is of quality. And so what I provided here is just some screenshots of the prompts that I used to get to some stuff here. So I actually asked it to create an outline. And the first thing it responded with was very generic. I didn't really like it. And it actually wanted to go like way too broad, too much at first. So I told it to kind of scale back. That's what the second one is. and asked it to create an example of a current events lesson. And then what I realized that it created one, but it was really teacher facing. And so then I wanted a student facing one. So I asked it to make a student facing one. So you can get the AI to do a lot of things when it comes to curriculum writing. One thing that you're going to want to ask it a lot is to be more detailed. But if you haven't done this, this is one of the most powerful things it can do is it can really raise or lower the rigor level just by a simple ask. But especially DOK, that's probably one of the most valuable things I've seen it do, where if you especially ask it to develop like an assessment or assessment question or something like that, you can say, could please make a DOK level 1 or please make a DOK level 4. Adjust Lexile levels, all those types of things. It can also create rubrics, charts, and pictures. If you have access to, ChatGPT Pro, it can, you can ask it to create an image that we would use to have students that, is this an AI created image? Is this not? There's different things like that. Creating charts, like I said, rubrics, things like that. So here's an example. Oh, great question. DOK is depth of knowledge. Appreciate you asking that. So a depth of knowledge question, or DOK level 1 would be like recalling something like, what is the name of the character in, a book? And then a DOK level 4 question, it only goes 1 to 4. So 4 would be the highest level, would get into synthesis and things like that. And that's really powerful that it can do that. So, so here's some prompts that I gave it, right? I asked it to be more specific for the assessment section. I would like it to be a reflection. Can you provide me more details about the directions for student reflection? It did. Then I asked it to create a rubric for this reflection. It did, and put it in a chart. Then I asked it to create 5 questions for a unit assessment. And I wanted 3 of them to be DOK level 1 or 2, 1 to be DOK level 3, and 1 to be DOK level 4. So getting real specific with those things. So just a little bit of kind of how you use the prompt engineering. All right. So I think based on time here, how are we doing? I think we'll pass on this part here, and we'll move on to actual getting started. So let's see what we can do. All right. So here's the goal. Each person's going to kind of get an assignment. All right. And if you're assigned to unit 1 or unit 2, you're going to work on creating a unit. And that unit is linked right here. So if you're responsible for unit 1, you can click on this. It'll give you the template, and your job is to get as much of this done as possible in the next about 20 or 30 minutes. You are going to use ChatGPT or Gemini, whichever tool you want to use to create as much of this as possible. The first thing you're going to want to do, and this goes back to kind of our demo, is you want to create unit objectives. So I'm actually going to open this up real quick. We'll go through this demo here, right? Everybody can see this. So the first thing you want to do is create unit objectives. So here's what we asked. This was actually Lindsay who did this, right? Please create learning objectives for a high school AI course for this unit. Unit 1 is this topic. So you can literally copy and paste. You can literally copy and paste the unit description that I shared with you into ChatGPT, and it'll come up with something like this. So what Lindsay and I thought is that 10 objectives for this unit was way too long. So we said, that's too many. We would like the 5 best. So then it created the 5 best. And then we said, okay, we like these, but they're too wordy, right? So you got to keep on prompting it based on what your response that you want. It ended up coming up with these 5s. Then we asked things like, can you add how long each one should be? So then I came up with those. And then we got into, can you help me design a lesson for the first one, right? And then here's the lesson it created. And what you are then going to do is you are going to just start. Sorry, can't see the next thing. You're just going to start copying and pasting that in to these things. So when you get unit objectives that you like, paste them in here. When you get a lesson for the first unit objective that you like, paste it in here. And then when you've gotten some lessons that you like and you're happy with it, you're going to ask it to make a performance-based rubric or a performance-based assessment. All right, questions? And I know we got a question in the chat here. How do we access this content? So you should have access to this document or to this presentation, and it's all in both the folder access right here. Will give you access to all of it. All right. So can you link the folder? Absolutely. Lindsay, can you pop that in there?
Yeah, it's in slide number 6, I believe.
But can you link it in the
I
chat?
can.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, cool. So we're not going to do breakout rooms because I think it'd be better for everybody to just be in the same room, and then people can jump off mute and ask questions if they want, and we can do some live demos. And then, like I said, the goal is that we're all crowdsourcing together, and at the end, everybody gets to take everybody's work, right? Everybody gets to leave with something created. So, and if some stuff doesn't get done, that's not a problem. Lindsay and I will go back and put some stuff in there so everybody can leave with a full kind of developed course. So don't stress about it being perfect. Just do your best to try to create something. All right, Vanessa, did
Andrew,
you
since
jump off?
we have about 6 people, do you want them to kind of throw out a number of which of the units they would like to do, or do you want me to assign them?
Let's just assign them, and the 6 people will do the 6 units, and then maybe Lindsay, you and I can do the current events template and final assessment.
Yes, and I just admitted one person. Kurt just got let in, so we can do a quick rundown for him. Let me do uh, so Vanessa, will have you do unit 1. Susan, we can have you do unit 2. Katie, we'll do unit 3.
Sorry,
I'm
I
adding this
put
to the chat as well.
that I will have to leave, so I would rather not be assigned something that everyone's worried about me completing.
Okay, do you want to just try it out and then whatever you get done, you get done? We'll put somebody else also on unit 3. How about that?
Perfect, thanks.
All right, so Austin will add you to unit 3 as well. David, we can get you caught up as well since you weren't here at the very beginning. We can have you do unit 4. Let's see. I'm not sure who a temp early. I'll do unit 5. Who am I missing? Oh, I think actually the person I let in left. So we've got up through unit 5. Susan, the content for the unit is, let me link that for you.
Link for it's in the folder, but we will link it directly so you have it. It's going to be this one right here.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to realize I should have put in the each unit what was already created, what the thing was. So I will fix that for Friday. All right, so I'm going to leave this slide up because these are essentially the things that you're creating. Oops. And I will pop into unit here. So you're going to use copy and paste, the content for that unit off the course outline into ChatGPT, ask it to create some unit objectives. That'll be the first thing you do, and then start based on your unit objectives, kind of copying and pasting lessons that it creates. It's up to you however many lessons you want to make or how many objectives you want to use. You can start, you have freedom to do that. The goal is for us to kind of crowdsource as much information as possible for people to be able to take away from it. Like I said, this is a little bit experimental. This would have been a lot easier to do in person, but we're going to see how it goes. If it crashes and burns, that's fine. Either way, I'll share out stuff that we create when it's all said and done.
David, we plugged you in on unit number 4. So that is unit number 4 is geopolitical implications of AI. That is in the link to that folder. It's called the AI course outline draft. And that's where you're pulling what you're using AI to develop content for.
So I think what I will do is I'll share my screen as I'm kind of running through. I'll start working on the current events activity. And if Lindsay, if you want to start working on the final assessment.
Yeah, we also have unit 6 too.
Okay. Why don't you, I'll work on unit 6 then, and I'll screen share that so that way I'm kind of doing a similar task as everybody else. You can work on the current events activities. I actually think that'll be pretty important.
Okay.
And I want to hide. There we go. That'll be better. Okay. So here we go. So I'm doing unit 6, right?
Yep.
Cool. I hope everybody can see my screen. So I got unit 6 open. I need this. So I'm just going to talk my way through it. Hopefully that's not too terribly annoying. Well, mine's a little bit different because I got case studies. That'll be interesting. All right. It's not what I want. Opening AI. I'm always really polite to it because when the great machine war happens, I want them to spare me. So I don't know if anybody else is like me or not, but I always be very polite to it. I do often kind of start by explaining the big picture first to it. I feel like sometimes that helps, but I'm not sure it actually does help. Whoa, see, it always starts doing this. Slow, pretty.
David, yeah, what we noticed too when we were playing around with this is that the timeline that it created was a little bit weird. So yeah, you can do 45 minutes a day, hour a day for 3 weeks, whatever matches with how your own schedule is. And um, Andrew, did you want them to have Katie just asked the same question. Do you want them to have a set day and week? Do we want to do 5 days a week, 45 minutes a day? Is that pretty standard?
Yeah, just a general 5 days a week, hour a day, 45 minutes a day. That's fine. Because obviously
Okay.
some people are going to be on double block schedule and some people are going to be on 4x4 blocks and all sorts of interesting things. But the general. All right, so far in mine here, I just kind of asked it really likes to really start doing a lot. Sometimes it's doing too much at first. Um, so I'm going to get the course objective, this unit objectives first. Can you? 1, 3, 5, 1, 8, 3. Well, there's no right or wrong on this. Like I said, don't let perfection get in the way of doing something good.
Andrew, when you say current event template guide, are we thinking that we want like a template, like almost like a handout that students would fill out?
Yeah, I want to teach like a teacher facing, like how does the teacher use this? And then a student, the actual student face that you could just hand to a student and say, and it would be every unit, whatever the topic is, you could use that same template.
Okay.
All right. I think I'm all right with these objectives. All right.
Does get really wordy, doesn't it?
It does get really wordy. Have to tone it down, tell it to tone it down a little bit. So this one creating what seems to be kind of a one period lesson, right? And I think I want it to be more than a day. Um, yeah, it says you can edit. We have it set. We have the documents linked so that anybody can edit. So I'm not sure why that would be the case.
Did you already answer Susan's question?
I did not.
So Susan, when you're using, actually Andrew's got the screen open right now. At the very bottom left of the final sentence, you can see a tiny little clipboard. It'll allow you to copy using that little clipboard. You can also highlight and just copy and paste. But using the clipboard allows you to kind of keep some of the formatting.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's new to me.
Yeah. Because sometimes when you copy and paste, it's not great.
No, it's not.
Vanessa says, I think it's helpful to ask for a lesson scope and then maybe go lesson by lesson to create more detail. That's a great idea. Thank you.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. She also says the document isn't allowing her to edit it. Let me fiddle around.
Okay. So you shouldn't be able, there's the document you shouldn't be able to edit is going to be, you shouldn't be able to edit this one, and you shouldn't be able to edit this one, but you should be able to edit the unit ones. So
Yeah. All right. So unit 4 there. Andrew, you're the owner of it.
okay.
It
You said
says
unit 4.
anyone with the link can view. Let's change it to edit. Let's see if that works.
Oops. Share. You're right. My fault. Thought I had them all done right.
So that'd be unit 4, and then let's see.
Oh, I wonder if it changed them all when we adjusted the folder. Sorry about that, everyone. This is the problem with doing this stuff virtual. The benefit of doing it virtual is that it's a lot easier to access though. So, oops.
David, will you check for me? Make sure you've got access for editing.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does.
Okay. It did. We double checked that.
Well, unit 1 clearly is working. So we must have something happened. Apologize, everyone. But it looks like you have access now. One thing we should highlight too is you can ask, like, it will get pretty detailed in content. So if it talks about a topic that you want more content detail, it'll do that. For example, when Lindsay and I were doing this for the history one, it talked about like the significance of the AlphaGo, where the top Go player played against the computer, kind of like in chess. And it was able to provide us quite the detailed history to really kind of have it elaborate on those types of things is pretty important. Still can't edit unit 2.
It's really cool when it creates a rubric because it like pulls it up and you can just see it filling in all the little rubric boxes and have this beautiful table.
Yeah. So wish it made handouts and PowerPoints. Yeah. Well, it we can kind of sort of get to that point if we do a little bit more work.
I believe
Um,
that Magic School is getting into that. I was just working with a teacher the other day that actually had Magic School help him develop a lesson and it exported into a Google form for him that he could use as a quiz.
so we'll
So
put
it's
that.
getting there.
It's Magic School A. That's School AI, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And I do know that like Canva has some ability to do some presentation making, but I haven't found it to be terribly helpful. But maybe that's a user error.
I think that's a big component of this is figuring out how to talk to it.
Yep.
So shoot. Okay, so the problem with the copying and pasting of a rubric is that sometimes it doesn't keep the table.
Yep.
That one
I'm
you
gonna
can't use the clipboard for, unfortunately.
I'll need to shore up some of the formatting here for sure.
Andrew, we got about 20 more minutes. I don't know if you want to just spot check time.
Yep. I think
You know
we're
how
doing
everybody's
all right.
doing.
We'll give probably people about another 10 minutes or so. And what we get done, we get done. We don't, we don't. Um,
Will you take a peek at the current events one? I've got a teacher
sure.
guide, student guide. I've got a handout template, and I've got two different versions of a rubric, a wordy one and a less wordy one. Since it's going to be used for all the units, just peek at, see
Yep.
if there's something that I need to refine in my asking.
I think the only thing is that it probably needs an opportunity to have students identify, because each current event should be related to the unit, which is related to a topic. They just need to
Right,
somehow
find
identify,
that.
yeah, what is the topic that this. Dang, that rubric's pretty. That's
Rubric's
pretty
pretty
good
cool.
there. That, yeah, for that quick.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Vanessa said, I asked it to make a PowerPoint. It said, what should I put on this on it slide by slide? Then I said, don't ask me to come up with materials like definitions. You have to do the work of coming up with it, and it did it. She said, I feel bossy, but it works.
Nice.
Yeah. Maybe not the word bossy, maybe the word direct.
Yeah, direct's probably better.
Vanessa, I'm trying to peek at this Magic School AI again for you.
All right. So I'm actually about to have it develop a case study. So I'm actually kind of curious to see what it develops here. All
So
right.
one
So
thing I just noticed, it says that I have a free trial until March 14th. So I'm imagining that Magic School is a paid for. It's a
yeah.
freemium, free for a minute, and then you have to pay for it.
Speaking of like AI and ethics, I just saw something recently. You know, I always take stuff with a grain of salt, but um, somebody was able to kind of like brute force AI into doing some things it wouldn't, by like threatening their own self harm, and then it eventually did it. So it's kind of like what Vanessa was talking about being bossy on, but to the extreme level. Um, it was really interesting. So I like this case study that it made. However, I think the background and scenario needs to be longer. All right. So this is good. I mean, part of the value of having like this many people do this is because we're going to kind of come up with some different results. I think it's going to be valuable to see the different types of ways people approach this and the different types of things. So don't feel like everything that everybody creates has to be similar. I kept on pushing it for it to be, it's still just struggling not to have more depth to this. All right. Oh, we got somebody joining here. Last second. All right, finally it's getting somewhere. Okay.
So Vanessa just said, and this is something that I've also learned as well, tell it to do it for a student in grade 5 with reading issues. So you can determine like what reading level you want it to be at. You can also throw out Lexile levels and stuff as well. So that helps with, whatever level of course this is going to be offered.
All right. Unit 6.
And Andrew, I think we have something for everything except for Unit 5 and the final assessment.
Yeah. Getting some stuff in there for Unit 6. Unit 6 is going to take some more work. But we're getting somewhere. Okay. So we'll let people kind of keep finishing that up a little bit, and we're going to kind of switch back to the presentation here and kind of talk about what I'm done. See, this is incredible. And talk a little bit about what we created and what we have and lessons learned and things like that. This was not meant to be perfect. Like I said, this was quite a bit of an experiment. Just the fact that people got stuff done is incredible. So thank you. Like I said, I wasn't sure if this was going to just completely crash and burn or not. So back to the slideshow. If you're still working, keep cranking away if you're enjoying that. So I want to talk a little bit about what did we learn. So people have been sharing some things so far. Yeah, keep in mind I'm not a social studies teacher. Yeah, good, even more impressive. So I do want to talk about a little bit of some takeaways here that we learned. I'm actually going to go out of presentation mode so I can take some notes here. But put in the chat if there's any kind of takeaway or thing or aha that you learned in doing this process. I'm going to go ahead and elaborate on some of the things already said, which was don't be afraid to be bossy. We're going to say direct. Be direct. With the AI. All right, what else we got here? We got this good advice on asking it specific to write things at a grade level.
Yeah, reading level.
A certain type of student, aka reading level.
Vanessa also said it's helpful to ask for a lesson scope and then maybe go lesson by lesson.
Oh, awesome. One thing that I think I learned is that you can really create a lot fast. I'm not saying that what we made was perfect, but just the fact that we have some folks that don't seem to be social studies teachers creating a unit in social studies on a topic they may or not be super familiar with in what was about 15 or 20 minutes is pretty wild. Now, some of the stuff that I worked on, I still need to format it correctly and kind of revise it a little bit, but we were able to create a lot fast. All right, so please put in chat anything else that you kind of feel like you learned from this moment or from this time. I'm going to also include in here um, other tools like, what was it, Magic School?
Yeah, even though it's a paid for, but
Yeah,
it
AI
has a ton
or
of features. Yeah.
to create um, basically what we call supplementary resources.
Yeah. And it
Resources,
just goes into way more specifics.
i.e., like slide decks.
Assessments. It also has a YouTube, like you can put a YouTube video in it and it will generate questions based on that video for you.
That's in
But I
Magic
wonder
School.
if you ask GPT the same things and you just articulate it well, if it could do any of that.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
David said 10,000%. What's that one on, David? What's specifically you're referring to? Just to make sure I don't assume.
Chat GPT can do it all.
Yeah. And I mean, if you don't have the pro version really starts getting some interesting areas of what can do. Yeah. Um, yeah, we haven't even done things where we fed it like lessons, or fed it information. Like we could get an article, feed it in there to generate questions. Like that would be a really good way to do it. Things like that. And so, what did we make? So this document right here, I think I'm screen sharing.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, that's cool. Thanks, Austin. Um, thanks. DOK stuff. Do you have any other tips for refining to produce better lessons or units? Jeez. Wow. That's crazy. I mean, that's the thing is like we're in this short period of time, like we're only even hitting the tip of the iceberg when it comes to. I've seen some recent tools on AI music generation, right? Sora, which we don't really, at least I don't have access to, and film generation out of text to film, things like that. Um, I will say, going back to Susan's, I think a couple other tips I have, Susan, is if you okay, so this is supposed to be this course that we're making is a lot of they're going to do a lot of current events in it, right? So they're talking about ethics. You pull an article about ethics. Well, if you have a kid in that class that has a lower reading level, you can throw that article into ChatGPT and say, "Can you rewrite this article at a fifth grade reading level?" And that right there, you could do with any course. If you're teaching a computer science course, you're teaching something else, and you have reading that you have available digitally, and you need to lower the reading level or anything else, that it will do that for you. So that's a big tip. I think that's maybe one of the I don't want to say most important, but as far as something that you can use on a daily basis is raising or lowering ability levels for kids, especially in document-based stuff. So, Lindsay, thanks for that connection there. So we got all sorts of good things coming out of here. So on this document right here, we're running low on time, but on this document right here, you should be able to, everybody has access to this, viewing access. If you click on this, that's the course outline that I already made. You're more than welcome to use that. That is fair game. Use that. If you want to pitch this as a course, or if you just want a general outline, use that as you want. This current event activity template, it looks to me like Lindsay made some good headway on this. So you feel free to use this as a current events template. You could actually use this current events template in a computer science class related to AI things related to technology. This isn't specific to this course. So if the only thing you take away from this is using Lindsay's template in your course that you already teach, feel free.
Andrew, there's also another one that we had played with ahead of time. So there's actually 2 current event templates in their folder.
Yeah, correct. So you can use either one. And then we have people who worked on each unit, and there's stuff in these units. So if we go into unit 1, We have things here. So whoever was doing unit 1, great job. We have stuff in unit 2, I think. Awesome. I mean, this is incredible. We have actual information that probably needs a little bit of a tune-up, but it's somewhere to start. You don't have to use this whole course as a whole course. You could just pull a specific unit, and you have some stuff here. Or at a minimum, hopefully you learned a little bit about curriculum development and how you can use any of these generators. One more tip I have, let me go back because I got a lot of screens open here. One more tip I have is some, I'll just put it, I'll just be more specific. Sometimes Gemini is better at making certain curriculum things. For example, I was using ChatGPT and Gemini to make some case studies before, unrelated to this, and I actually found that Gemini was better at making case studies. So something for you to consider is that some of these generative AI, tools, mainly the two that we've already talked about, are better at some things than other things. So you might want to try a different one. In fact, you might just want to put in the same prompt into two different tools to see what you get from each. Thanks, Austin. I appreciate it. So making a copy was great. All right. So we made quite a bit of work. I mean, I'm not going to scroll through all of it, but if you were to make an estimate, I mean, we probably have, what do you think, Lindsay, 30 pages worth of stuff we created in 30 minutes at least, that everybody has access to. All right.
And really, I mean, you got a semester's worth of work for students.
Yeah. So you're feel free to take this. One other thing I will point out is, Lindsay, can you link in the tomorrow's folder real quick?
Sure.
So I'm running this presentation again tomorrow, and they have a completely different folder. So I'm gonna just give you that link. Right now it's blank, but hopefully we'll get another 10 people or so, and you can look in that folder and get a whole nother version of this same experiment. So anyway, I appreciate everybody jumping in this, knowing that this was a big experiment, and having 9 people collaborate really fast on developing a course from scratch was quite an experiment. I didn't know if it was going to crash and burn. It definitely didn't crash and burn. We had some awesome people in this room. Hopefully you learned something and you can use some of these resources. So thank you so much. If I'll hang on for a minute. If you got any questions, or if you want to jump on video or voice, you're more than welcome to. But that is it.